Hello, 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 hello. How are you? How you doing? This is Els coming to you from Bemis Crafty Corner, and this is Class 1 of my ongoing 2022 free class series, and this one is upcycling a used book cover. So we're going to talk a little bit about book covers today. We're going to do just some minor things, and we're going to talk about the things that we're going to need to do this, okay? So, you are going to want some clips. If you don't have these kinds of clamps, you have options, okay? You can use paper clips. These work really well. Even the regular size paper clips will work. You can use clothespins, chip clips, binder clips, whatever you have, but you want some kind of clip that you can use to hold your papers together. You're going to want a ruler, a pen, a piece of paper, a pair of scissors, and some kind of sharp blade, either a craft knife or a pen knife or a box cutter, you know. You're going to want that. And as we go through this process, there's going to be some other things that you're going to want. So today we're going to talk about gutting your book and covering your book. So I want to talk about a couple of different types of covers. So let me move some stuff here. Just make some space. All right. So obviously we don't want any soft cover books. You don't want a soft cover because it's a soft cover. You don't want any book that you want to keep the book jacket of. Just get rid of the jacket. Okay? So you want a hardcover book, and however big you want your journal to be is based on the spine size. Okay? So let's take a look. So this is a spine that is less than an inch. This is a single signature journal all day long. This one is about an inch, and so you could do 2 to 3 signatures in here depending upon how many pages you use. This one is slightly larger than an inch. It's about 1.25 inches, so you could probably do 3 to 5 signatures in here depending upon how many, how much decoration you put in and how many pages are in your signatures. And this is a Reader's Digest. This is the one that I choose to use most often, and the reason I choose to use it is because it's already pretty. I don't have to cover this if I don't want to. This one you wouldn't have to cover if you didn't want to. The only part that you'd have to cover is like the spine. Same thing with this one. You just have to cover the spine. This part's good, okay? But what if you have a book like this? This has to be covered, unless you want it to be the, the babysitter's little sister number 40. Entirely up to you. Now, for the purposes of this class, I'm going to be using these babysitter books because I have a collection of them, so I'm going to be using these to show you how we're going to do everything, okay? So these are just a couple of options to keep in mind. If you can find a Reader's Digest, they're probably the best to use, and I say that because of the size. When you do a Reader's Digest, they are, helps if you have the ruler going the right way. The inside dimension, that's the end paper dimension, is just about 7 3/8, 7 1/4 by 5. So you can cut your paper down to about 9 3/4 inches by 7, and it's going to fit in here beautifully. Okay? But I'm not going to use any of these. Okay? And if you have one of these, fantastic. We'll give you the time that you need to use this. All right? But I recommend, if you're doing this for the first time, stick to something that's like a single signature or like a 1-inch spine. Which I have one around here someplace. Okay, I'll find it. So let's talk about gutting this. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get these out of my way, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to gut a book. I will have a more in-depth video linked below for this. So if you want to go and check that out too, please do, okay? But I'm going to show you how to gut a book. It's pretty simple. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll be right back. All right, so some other things that we need to consider before we pick our book cover. Condition. You don't want something that's got bent corners, that's torn on the spine. You don't want something that's got water damage or mold, okay? So let's take a look at this one. This book is not so good, but you know what? It's workable. It's got some water damage where the pages have gotten wet a little bit, but it's not affected the book jacket in any way, the cover in any way, okay? It's only affected really the pages, okay? There's no, this isn't off-centered, there's no warping, there's no mold smell. Actually smells remarkably clean. So this, even though the pages are wrinkled, this itself would be a good candidate as a book. Let me show you something that's not a good candidate. This, when you look at the spine here, you see it goes all the way back. Watch. See how it's all the way back there? This one does not go all the way back. See how when you pull the pages back, there's that piece of book still here? This, when you try to get it out, I'll show you what happens. You cut it, because what they do is they wrap this part in one piece and then this part in something else, so that when you try to cut this out, see that little piece of tape there? That's what's holding it. So you don't want to do this, all right? And I did this one on purpose so I could show you guys. When you're cutting it out, this is what happens. It cuts weird because you can't get in there. It's stitched this way through the pages and not like you normally would stitch a book, okay? If that makes any sense. So I'm going to gut two books for you today. One is going to be this one. This is one of the Babysitter Club books. And then I'm going to gut that book, okay? So, to gut a book, first step, do the thing your mom told you never to do with a book. Pull your covers all the way back, and you want to kind of move this around, and you want to crack that glue that's in there, okay? And then, the smallest knife that you can, all right? If you are right-handed, put your cover on the right. Put your pages on the left. Very thin, light cuts towards the paper, towards the signatures, not towards the cover, okay? Because what we're trying to do is not cut the cover, okay? We want to free the pages, but not cut through the spine. So if we push our blade this way, we're going to avoid the spine. Go. All right. Got that part. Then we're just going to flip it over, and you're just going to follow that line right there. Nice, shallow, even cuts. And you're going to get your pages out. Okay? Now, do not get rid of this. This is great. One, you can make book pages, book pockets out of this. Two, you can make pages for your journals out of this. You can glue on this. You can paint on it. A million different things, okay? So don't get rid of that. That's good stuff. All right. So that's that. And then if you need to, you can clean this up with your scissors. Just, you know, pull the cover back and just snip away anything that looks yuck. All right. So now I'm going to do this one here. Again, I'm just going to pull this back, wiggle it around. Other side, wiggle it around. Okay. Cut through. Now this one, and the reason I'm doing this is because this one has the weave in it. I don't know if you guys can you see the weave? See the weave? So you have to get that weave cut, and that weave is very close to your spine. So make sure that when you're cutting that weave, you're cutting away from the spine itself and towards the pages. And then I'm going to do the other side. Now, I haven't got this completely out, so I'm going to do the other side. Same thing. Nice, shallow, easy, just to break it. And then I'm going to pull that out. And on this, because of that netting, there's a little more cleanup to go on here. You want to get rid of any of this that's loose. And you can actually loosen this up more often than not by hitting it with your heat tool, because this glue will heat up and allow you to take that off, but it's not necessary. Again, hold on to this because it's decent stuff, you know. You can use that for things. All right, so now we have this. And now this book cover's perfect. It's fine. It's fine. Alrighty. So, now we're going to work on cleaning the book itself. All right. I like to use alcohol preps. It's just a real easy way of doing this. And all I'm doing is just taking off any yuck that might be on there. And there is yuck. Okay. So I got that all cleaned up. Now, once I've cleaned and I've removed, the next part is measuring. So get your ruler out, get your paper out, get your pen out. I'll be right back. Okay, so we need to figure out how big the spine is going to be. And if I measure this, it tells me, put that away, it tells me that this spine is like 3/4 of an inch wide. But I'll tell you what, if you measure this, you'll find that it's only 5/8. So, we're going to take some measurements. All right? We are going to measure the width of the spine, and we're going to measure that on the book that we extracted. So 5/8 of an inch. And the length, which is right at 7 inches. Okay? And I want you to see how different this can be if you measure the book. okay? So if I measure the book, I come up with 7¼ inches, but it's only 7 inches. If I measure the book between the two end papers, I get 3/4 of an inch, but it's really only 5/8. So you have to be careful of what you measure, or you're going to be cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. Now, this is 5/8. I'm going to wrap the piece that I'm putting in here in paper, so I'm going to reduce this down to a 1/2 inch. All right. So I'm going to get a piece of paper. Let me get all this out of my way real quick. Where did I put that piece of paper? I had a piece that I was going to use. Well, my desk ate it. Hold on. All right. So I have a piece of paper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this to 1/2 inch. I'm just going to put it in 1/2 inch. Then I have to cut it down to size, which for the book is 7 inches. So I'm going to cut 2½ inches off of here. 1½ inches, sorry. Almost lost my brain there. Because it's 8½ inches wide. So I'm just going to cut that off. And this should be my spine. So let's take a look. Yes, beautiful. I like it. Okay. Whoop. Now I'm going to show you something really fancy. This is how you measure this to find out where things go. Fold your strip in half. Then fold your top piece in about 1/2 inch. Okay? So you have a piece that looks like 2 little legs and feet. And then you're going to take the crotch and fold it to the ankle. All right? And that will give you a piece that looks like this. Now, lay that down. Get your ruler and your pen, and we're just going to draw across those with our ruler. And that is going to give us the 5 points that we're going to stitch at. And this is 1/2 inch, so this is an easy one. So if you have one of these rulers you can see through, fantastic. If you don't, then use your grid board. You want 1/4 inch, put a line down the paper. Mark a T at the top, a B at the bottom, and every place that those lines intersect, that's where you're going to poke holes, okay? So now we're going to do the same thing, cutting our spine out of a piece of chipboard. So 1/2 inch. And then cut it to length. this should fit in here. And it does. Now, we're going to keep these two pieces together. We want these pieces together, all right? So set those to the side for the moment. And I'm going to clean this mess up. I'll be right back. All right, so now we need to measure a few things. We need to know the overall size of our cover. So from the outside to the outside, which for me is 10 3/4 inches. And from the outside to the outside in height is 7 1/4, and you write this down. I have it written down, 10 3/4, 7 1/4. All right. Now I'm going to measure the end pages. That's the end papers, and the reason I'm going to measure these is because I'm going to replicate this. And so for me, this is about 4 3/4 by 7. Okay? And I've written that number down as well. And I want that number because when we cover this, we're going to put in new end papers that are going to go on either side. Okay? So your homework is to get 2 pieces of chipboard, think cereal box, that is wide enough to cover your page and tall enough to cover your page. So mine are plenty big enough. Okay?
Bless you.
Then we're going to talk about, the covering. So we have 3 pieces that need to be covered here. The spine and our 2 end pages. So you have to decide what kind of paper you want to use to do this. And that depends on what your book theme is. If it's boho, you could do this in paisleys. If your book theme, your journal theme is going to be based on a specific paper pad, you can use that. If it's going to be romance, you might want to put roses. If it's Victorian, you're going to want to find maybe some old writing or something that you can put here. It is entirely up to you, but you need to have papers that are going to fit these, and they have to be at least 1 inch bigger on all 4 sides. So you need it to be 2 inches bigger on the width, 2 inches bigger on the length, and then for this piece, you need it to be about 1 inch wider overall and about 1 inch longer overall, because you're going to cover this piece too. Okay? So, that's your homework. Get your chipboard, find your paper. Get out papers for your signatures, and make sure that you have something to poke this, something to sew your signatures in, and we're going to talk about the outside cover. See, a lot of stuff. So on the outside cover, how are you going to cover this? There's a few options. 1, wallpaper. Wallpaper works really well. 2, fabric or book cloth, one or the other. Probably the best choices. 3 would be just covering it in paper. The issue with paper is, see these little grooves right here? When you try to rub it in to these grooves, you're going to have a problem. So you could do paper here and paper here, and then do something entirely different here, like fabric, or tape, like book tape. Or you can do what I'm going to do, because I was in the garage the other day, and I found this, and this is a roll of contact paper. And I said to myself, why not cover the book with this? But then I said, no, that's really ugly and I don't like it. So I went on a quest, and what I found was this. It is sheet vinyl, and it is self-adhesive sheet vinyl. Get this open real quick. And it is removable, but that's okay because I'm going to glue it down anyway. So, I'm going to sit here and mess with this until I get it to open. Anyway, this is removable sheet vinyl, and this should come off. I don't know. I've never used this kind before, so we'll learn together. Nope, it comes off. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to be using this to cover my book cover. I like it. Yeah. So I'm going to be using this to cover my book cover. And I got this. It was relatively inexpensive, but you could use contact paper. You can use regular paper. And if you want to use regular paper and clear contact paper, there is a way to do that as well. And I will show you. Okay? We'll talk about that when we actually get to the cover. So start thinking about what you want to cover your book with. What you're going to put on your inside pieces of your book. Get your cereal boxes together. And pages that you want to use for your signatures, okay? That's the stuff that you need to have for the next class. So, that's it. That's all I have for this one. This one's relatively easy because it's more of a let's get the book gutted and let's figure out what we're going to be doing moving forward. So, if you have any questions or anything, I will be live tonight on the day that this originally airs. I will go live at that time and I will walk you through any questions or concerns or problems or issues or whatever you may have to do this. Okay? So, until then, if you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends, and before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. I go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 10 a.m. That's 11, 12, and 1 across the country, 8 o'clock over in Hawaii. And I post videos on Mondays and Wednesdays. In 2022, I have two things going on. One is my 12 of 22 challenge. There is a link in the description of this video that will take you to a video that will explain that to you in great details. And my free classes, just like this one. So if you want to participate in these, make sure that when you ring that bell, you hit the all. Okay? So that you get all the notifications, so that you get all of these classes. We're going to be doing several different types of journals, traveler's notebooks, little golden books. We're going to be doing written down journals. We're going to do them all. Okay? So, that's all I have for you. Until the next time, stay safe, guys. Bye-bye.